What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are continuing our legend push, this time by showcasing a Clodsire team. I've been in the 2900s for quite a few days now, but this team helped me break through a little bit into the 2970s, where now I'm one good set away from reaching legend in the Go Battle League. So let's take a look at the battles and see what this Clodsire team can do. All right, let's get into the first game of the day here. We're going to see our Clodsire as our lead up against an Azumarill, a very solid lead matchup for us. We're going to try to keep this away from our dark types, but our opponent instantly swaps out here to a Shadow Sableye with our Guzzlord as a counter swap into them. I know that this thing could have access to Dazzling Gleam. I'm going to shield up just in case. Let's see what it's going to throw here against us. I know Guzzlord does not want to take fairy type damage, and of course, there it is. We do shield up properly here, which is very nice to see. We're back-to-back Dragon Claws here, but because of the energy lead that they had, I think they're at a Dazzling Gleam right now, and I'm not quite sure if I want to go down 2 shields to keep switch, because Clodsire is not the hardest answer in the world to Azu. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call this. If they do knock us out, that's honestly fine. I can farm down with our own Shadow Sableye and start spamming out Charge Boost against their Azu if they bring that back in. In comes Shadow Sableye. As I was saying here, we have a lot of energy now. If the Azu comes in, while they are a decent check to Sableye, when I have 4 Shadow Claws of energy lead, all I have to do now is start spamming out these power gems, and 2 should be enough to knock them out the longer this matchup goes. 1 power gem, not quite enough to 2-shot here, but you can see these Shadow Claws are adding up quite a bit against their HP right now. Our opponent throwing likely an Ice Beam against us here, but I'm still going to shield no matter what, because it seems like they might be a little bit scared of our Shadow Sableye in the backline. Ice Beam does get a shield here from our Sableye. In comes a Power Gem in just a second. I'm actually going to get to back-to-back moves here just in case they do let it go. I want to have as much energy as possible for the backline, and if they shield, I'm going to have back-to-back so I don't have to worry about our Sableye going down, able to throw a Power Gem and knock out this Pokemon. Power Gem at this point will KO Azu. We are going to see their final Pokemon. Hopefully it's something we have planned to. It's going to be a Corviknight, it looks like here, which is fantastic for us to see. While Clodsire is not the best Pokemon into Corviknight, after landing this Shadow Claw damage as well as this Foul Play, we should be able to go for double Stone Edge and finish off this game. It's kind of sad here that we have no fast food pressure with Poison Sting, but it doesn't really matter. They have very little fast food pressure despite having super effective Sand Attack into our Clodsire. And Sky Attack, while it is a strong move, not quite enough here to 2-shot us. I have Stone Edge. Our opponent at this point has to hope that we have Sludge Bomb and Earthquake, but because I do have Stone Edge, this will 2-shot them very easily. Our opponent now realizing not much that they can really do here this game. They end up top lefting. GG to our opponent. Next game, Clodsire up against a Shadow Jumpluff, a fantastic lead matchup. Let's see if they stay in or if they're going to swap out. Obviously, they don't really want to stay in that matchup, right? They swap out instantly to a Lapras. This Pokemon is a very good matchup for a Shadow Sableye. We know we don't get one-shot by a Sparkling Aria, even after the Side Wave damage in the 2-shield, because Sableye is that Dark typing, able to easily resist this fast attack. In comes a Power Gem. This opponent might shield us up. They might let it go. This is going to do a lot of damage, though. One way or another, we're going to get something out of this, and we get a shield from the Lapras. I guess I could have gone for a bait, but I know it's so consistent. Just go straight Power Gem here, and you can always win this matchup. But if your opponents do shield often, sometimes you can bait if you want to get a little bit greedy here. Let's see what our opponent's going to do this time. I'm going to overfarm as much as we can here and now go for yet another Power Gem into this Lapras. This will one-shot them easily from this range. Our opponent does double shield here, and now I think they're in range where Foul Play could knock out after the next couple of Shadow Claws, so I don't think I need to go for a big charge move. I just need to make sure that they don't bake any energy here. I do want to make sure Lapras goes down. I don't want to see any catches happen this game, so we instantly throw the Foul Play here. We could have overfarmed a couple more Shadow Claws, but it's fine at this point. We will still reach a charge move against that Jumpluff and then have switch advantage in our favor. What's going to come in here? Is it that Jumpluff? Is it the final Pokemon? Whatever it's going to be, they're taking their time to figure it out. In comes that Jumpluff. I don't quite reach a Power Gem, but a Foul Play is still going to be very helpful chip damage. It puts them into a much more comfortable range where a Stone Edge could one-shot them from this health, and now our Guzzlord does get to avoid this Pokeball with Fairy-type Fast Pressure. In comes a charge move, likely is going to be an Acrobatics against us, but we have such a bulky Pokemon here that 2 charge moves from the Shadow Jumpluff will not be enough. We're able to survive that. In comes a Shadow Sableye, and as long as they don't have access to that super effective charge attack Dazzling Gleam, we can survive this move. But if they do have Gleam, this game is still going to be a win, but it's going to be just a bit more uncomfortable because Clodsire is going to have a lot of work to do. But no, we do survive a Power Gem there. Very good stuff. And in comes a Dragon Claw against this Sableye. This probably won't knock them out here, but it puts up a nice farm for our Guzzlord here to get against this Pokemon. Now I can go for Crunch against this Shadow Jumpluff. While I don't have Sludge Bomb, Crunch is still a very efficient move. It'll likely either knock out or put them into a very low health range where I can either Dragon Tail or Poison Sting all the way down. They throw a charge of here to guarantee the knockout into our Guzzlord. That's perfectly fine by us, though. I still have so much HP on our Guzzlord, or on our Clodsire rather. We can Poison Sting down and take the win in that match. Alright, next game, Clodsire as our lead up against a Shadow Drapion, a lead matchup that you might expect to be a good thing for Clodsire, because Ground is the only typing that Drapion is weak to, but because Drapion is so spammy, it has Aqua Tail, and we are so inconsistent with having offensive Ground-type pressure against them, it's honestly not that great of a matchup. I go for a Stone Edge bait, they go for an Aqua Tail right on 8 Poison Sting, so I know they have another Aqua Tail ready to go, and in comes the Stone Edge. It's a crazy bait call if they do opt to no-shield, but there it is, they call the bait. Very good call by them, and in comes a Guzzlord. This game is not looking great for us right now, and because I have my Sableye without Dazzling Gleam, I'm not sure I can draw a shield from them, unless maybe they're going to be a little bit more respectful of the move. Let's see what's going to happen. Crunch does get a shield from us here. In comes a Power Gem into this Guzzlord. Do they shield? Do they let this go? It's going to be a big call on their part. Power Gem does actually end up landing, so it is a decent amount of damage there. We might get a shield from Foul Play now, or maybe they let this move go. Let's see what they're going to do. Foul Play ends up drawing that shield, so I guess while we're not going to get a shield advantage in this game, at the very least, we're able to whittle down this Guzzlord and maybe get some energy on both our own Guzzlord and our Clodsire. It comes a charge of what is their moveset going to be. I think they had Crunch already. They showed the Dragon Claw, so yeah, Crunch Dragon Claw, a very common moveset. It's the one I'm running here, and in comes just another Dragon Claw against us. I know I can survive, get a full farm down here, and potentially use our energy in the backline. Dragon Claw does end up putting us low, but not in range where they can really poison sting us down with that Shadow Drapion. I'm going to try, though, to throw a charge move against this Drapion if it comes back in. They're waiting out their Switch Clock quite a bit here. They go for the instant Aqua Tail into us, and I know that while I could go for the Stone Edge against them, I don't think that shielding a very low HP Clodsire is going to be too impactful when I have a Guzzlord that can easily knock this out with fast move pressure. Our opponent does throw a charge move against us, and they actually build up to 6. This might be a Sludge Bomb here. Our opponent throwing a charge move, and it actually is. That's crazy. It doesn't really matter. There's a Jumpluff in the back line, but good stuff, I guess. Sludge Bomb is a very cool coverage move. It's better for the Azu, better for the Jumpluff. Very bad for me here. All right, next game going to be a Clodsire mirror match, a very CMP-dependent matchup where if you win CMP, this matchup's really nice where you can get a shield and potentially just a knockout against your opponent the longer this goes, or you have to force your opponent into making really annoying baits if you want to end up winning this one. The Clodsire mirror is a very slow-paced matchup where the faster pressure does almost nothing. Earthquake is always a 2-shot, so you have to go for Earthquake and you have to land 2 if you want to knock them out. As you can see, nowhere near range where a Sludge Bomb or a Stone Edge will ever knock us out. In comes another charge move, and unfortunately for us here, we do end up losing CMP. In comes the charge attack, though, from their Clodsire. A Sludge Bomb bait, so they win CMP and they're baiting us. That is a crazy play, but I guess very good stuff from our opponent here. I'm going to try to use our Shadow Sableye as a pivot right now to get us out of a really bad situation. Our opponent counterswaps with a Dunsparce, and now I'm not quite sure what to do. I know Dunsparce is one of the best answers here to Ghost types in the game. Dunsparce, though, with the rollout nerf, not doing quite as much fast move pressure as it was before. Drill Run number 1 is thrown. I have almost back-to-back Foul Plays here. Can we get a shield from them? I don't think that Foul Play will 2-shot, unfortunately, but I'm going to try our best here to knock them out or whittle them down as much as I can. Comes another charge attack here from Dunsparce. Not the best timing by our opponent, but they did want to throw before I got another charge attack off to force a shield from our Sableye. Drill Run does draw a shield from us. In comes a Power Gem, which I know does do just a bit more raw damage to them. Maybe puts them into a nice Shadow Claw downrange. In comes the attack. Doesn't quite knock them out here. And they actually end up swapping out to their Shadow Kanto Marowak. Interesting play by them right now. Makes it so now I can get a Foul Play into them and potentially start farming down with our Guzzlord. This is going to be a very interesting endgame. I have no idea how it's going to play out. They had kind of the triple ground team, right? They had the ABA ground types with Clodsire and Shadow Kanto Marowak, and then the pseudo ground type with that Dunsparce. In comes the Dragon Tails. Are we able to farm down? Just barely we can. Guzzlord has a lot of energy. Who is going to come in to drain all of our charge moves? Is it going to be that Clodsire? Is it going to be the Dunsparce? This endgame is going to be incredibly close. In comes the Clodsire here. In comes the Dragon Claw from our Guzzlord here. It's going to try our best to knock them out or draw a shield. Our opponent does opt to shield that attack up, and I instantly go for the Dragon Claw, knowing they are at a charge move right now. Our opponent at this point will be chipped down into a pretty low HP range, but we are also in a bit of an awkward spot here. How do I finish off this Clodsire? I think I have to Shadow Claw it down with our Sableye, but there is still energy on that Dunsparce. We have to make sure we don't get sniped down by anything in this match. Let's see what's going to happen. In comes that Dunsparce. We swap out right when they do. We get a full Poison Sting down, and now we can throw a charge into that Clodsire to win the game. Our opponent realizes it and ends up top lefting. Next game going to be a Shadow Kanto Marowak in the lead. This is so much worse than seeing it in the back line. Obviously, these Mudslaps are going to do a lot of damage to our Shadow Sableye, and Foul Play, while it is a good move here, is not spamming enough in the 2-shield matchup to be able to win this. I'm actually going to get completely farmed down, which is so bad, saying I have no ground resist on this team. Shadow Kwak is just going to put in so much work into us right now. In comes the first charge move here from this Pokemon. What's it going to be? I don't think there's any reason for it not to just be a Bone Club against us, and now I can get a second shield here, but that is about it for our Shadow Sableye in this game. In comes the Foul Play. Do they shield? I would love to see a no shield right now, but they do opt to shield up their Marowak. Not what we want to see right now, and we get fully farmed down, which is kind of bad because now Guzzlord is going to have to take a lot of damage, and Clodsire might be in a bit of trouble in the backline as well if they were just so willing to stay in that Sableye counter swap in that matchup. All right, in comes a charge move. A Bone Club going to be thrown, does a decent chunk of our HP, and then a Clodsire in the back line. This is so awkward. We saw how much an Earthquake did in the last game, just a little bit over 50% of their HP. In comes a Crunch now into this Pokemon. It doesn't get a defense drop, which means now I need to Dragon Tail them into range where I could actually knock them out with that Earthquake and see what charge move they're going to throw. I don't really think we can win this game at this point, though it's looking pretty bad for us. Earthquake does knock us out, and while I can knock out Clodsire, and I can likely also knock out that Marowak, I don't think there's going to be many Pokemon in the backline I could beat. Maybe a Fire type like a Talonflame that I could one-shot with a Stone Edge. I don't really think there's too much, though, that our Clodsire has much of a chance against. Let's see what's going to happen in this match. In comes the Earthquake up against this Pokemon. What are they going to do? I mean, they don't have any shields left, so it's likely going to land and likely going to knock them out here. We are still at full HP, but Marowak has a lot of energy on it, and I cannot quite Poison Sting them all the way down. Bone Club's going to put us about at half HP right now, which is not what you want to be at with your final Pokemon when you haven't even seen the third and when you're completely energy dry. Stone Edge will knock them out here. What is their final Pokemon? I can outpace a Talon. That's like the one thing I can think about beating in this game. In the backline, though, going to be a Cradily. I don't think I can beat that. I need 2 Chargers before they can knock us out, and that is not going to happen. Next matchup is a Shadow Jumpluff on the lead once again. Pretty good lead matchup for our Poison-type Pokemon. Let's see what they swap in here. It's going to be that Lapras once again, and since it seems like all of these Jumpluff leads are safe-swapping Lapras, our Shadow Sableye is generally a very solid counter-swap into this Pokemon. Let's see what our opponent's going to do this time. Last time I went straight Power Gem against them, and they shielded every single time. Let's see what they're going to do in this game. I go for the Foul Play bait, so I think what normally happens here is when you switch up your strategy, normally they also switch up theirs, and of course that means they're going to call the move. With that said, we can still outpace here, go for another Foul Play, and we know from experience that a Foul Play will knock them out or put them into Shadow Claw downrange here the longer this matchup does go on. They actually just opt to let that go, which is kind of smart at this point. They can get a decent farm down against us with that Jumpluff, but not before I'm able to get a Charge Move off into them. Or I guess they can get a farm down with a Shadow-type Flosion. Very cool stuff here from our opponent, but they don't quite realize just how much of a pickle they're in until right now. Our Guzzlord is one of the best answers to a Mono Fire-type Pokemon like that, and we still have our Clodsire up against this Jumpluff, and while we will have to land a Stone Edge to do any sizable damage to them, these Poison Stings as well are adding up and maybe putting them to a range where a Guzzlord can land Crunch and Dragon Tail and just knocking them out later on with just raw attrition damage here. In comes the Stone Edge into this Jumpluff. Our opponent does obviously shield that up, and now I'm going to try once again to go for a Stone Edge, draw that final shield from them, and our Clodsire is still outside of range where an Aerial Ace or an Acrobatics either would knock us out. Stone Edge coming through, our opponent does double shield, so now I have a 2 shield to 0 advantage on our Guzzlord. There is still going to be that Typhlosion in the backline, so if they ever swap out, I think I'm going to match that switch here and see what they're going to do. In comes that Typhlosion, and now once again our Guzzlord is going to try its best to neutralize all of this energy. I think at this point, shielding up a Blast Burn is going to be a good play. I don't want to put myself into a range where I get completely Fairy Winded down by that Jumpluff before I can reach a Crunch, so shielding up a move, even though it's resisted, it's a Shadow Blast Burn, right? It would do a lot of damage into us here, and we're able to knock out that Pokemon. In comes that Shadow Jumpluff, and while it is doing a lot of Fairy-type damage into our Guzzlord here, we have to keep in mind they need an Acrobatics to knock us out. Crunch would have basically knocked them out there, and we're able to win in that match. Next game, a Talonflame in the lead. We were talking about this in the other game there, where a Stone Edge can basically one-shot this Pokemon. Let's see if our opponent is going to call that I have Sludge Bomb or Stone Edge, or if they're going to no-shield or shield. It's always a bit of a 50-50 here on what Talonflame is going to do. I'm going to go straight for the Stone Edge. Our opponent here, it's one shot, which is fantastic for us right now. In the back, going to see a Corviknight. We safe swap our Shadow Sableye. Our opponent is in such a bad spot here. I build up energy. I guess they top left. Good stuff. That was a pretty short game. But yeah, GG's to them. I guess that's what happens when you disrespect Stone Edge on Clodsire. Okay, next game, not quite as good a lead for us, though. This is a bit of a tricky lead matchup here. ABA weak to the Aegislash. Gonna try to go for Earthquake against this if I can. I know they can survive Earthquake. That's why the non-Shadow Aegislash has really picked up in popularity. Surviving Charge Moves and not having to go down shields early on in matchups like this is what makes it stand out above the Shadow variant. Earthquake is going to come through, and fortunately it does land against them, but they are not in range where I can reach a Stone Edge quite before they can get to an Ice Punch and knock us out. The awkward thing, though, is they're also going to reach another Charge Move in just a second here, so I feel like if I'm going to have to shield once, I might as well shield with my Clodsire before I end up going down here. Stone Edge is going to knock them out if they let this move through. If they do let them move through, then at the very least, I've neutralized this Pokemon for a Guzzlord in the backline. But that is another very tricky Pokemon to see here. Azu is such a bad Pokemon to see, but it pairs very well with the Aegislash, so it makes it so now my Guzzlord is in such an awkward position in this game. Comes the Power Gem. We've seen that Sableye can put in a lot of work here, and honestly, that Power Gem has put them so low at this point that they are going to have to start shielding their Azu at some point in this matchup. Play Rough comes through. I do shield it up, which is very nice to see, and Cradily is going to come in as their final Pokemon. Their ABA weak to Counter. Counter is not the most common move in the game right now, but that is still a very interesting thing to see here. Cradily and Aegislash core. In comes a Charge Move here from this Cradily. I would have loved to get that Foul Play off. Not quite able to reach it before they're able to snipe us down with this Rock Tomb. And now our Guzzlord is going to have way too much work to try to do. I one-turn lag, which is actually so annoying right now. It means I get one less Dragon Tail of both damage and energy from this matchup. If I could have got that Dragon Tail through, honestly, that might be the make or break thing in this game. We'll see if it's going to matter too much here, but always losing out on a full Dragon Tail is a pretty bad thing. Now, because of that, I don't think the Crunch is quite enough to knock out here. And while I am going to survive this next Rock Tomb, we're going to be so low, Bullet Seed and Bubble is going to add up quite a bit. We're debuffed with our attack stat, so I'm going to swap out here, come in with our Clodsire, go for the Stone Edge. Looks like that might have been a CMP, which is exactly what we need to see here to have any sort of a chance. Stone Edge is going to end up getting their final shield. If I had Sludge Bomb on our Guzzlord, this game would already be over, but because we are running the Dark and the Dragon type coverage moves here, Azu sponges all of our energy. I need to dump all of it here into this Pokemon. I think that Bubbles will do more damage than Bullet Seed, so my best case scenario right now is to try our very best, knock out this Azu before they can fast move us down, and this endgame is going to be so close. Remember, we did miss out on a single Dragon Tail of damage and energy into this Cradilly, so if that ends up mattering here in this game, which I think it might, it's going to cost us the win. We could have the Dragon Claw, we could have maybe even just farmed them down in that matchup there. Unfortunately, not able to win the game. I suppose GG to our opponent, but our game absolutely denying us that win. Next matchup, once again, going to see our ground-type Pokemon into the Shadow Drapion. Last time we went for a bait, and they ended up calling it. Let's see what's going to happen this time. It feels like such a crazy bait to call, because if you get one shot on the lead matchup after throwing only a single Charge Move, then, I mean, that's a pretty bad situation to be in, but I guess maybe these Clodsires bait a lot. Let's see what's going to happen. Our opponent, once again, calls the bait. Fantastic play by them, and now I'm going to swap into our Shadow Sableye. Well, it's not the best matchup in the world. I know Shadow Sableye actually has fast move pressure into Shadow Drapion, so after landing that move, it's not the best matchup for them, and they actually come in with a Carbink, so all things considered, I did need to bait out this Pokemon. It's not the worst thing to see here, and we still have a decent amount of HP left over on our Clodsire, and Guzzlord is avoiding this Fairy-type Pokemon. Power Gem being thrown, our opponent at this point could shield up if they do want to keep their Carbink healthy. They opt to let it go here, and they throw a move against our Sableye. I don't think this would be a very easy Pokemon to take out at this health range, so I want to shield up once again. Our Shadow Claws will be our highest damaging fast move against this Pokemon, but these Rock Throws are doing so much damage into us here that I don't know exactly how this game is going to go. In comes the foul play. Our opponent is going to shield it up, which is very nice to see, and they will get a full farm down into us here, but I can farm them down as well with their Clodsire, and then use our Guzzlord potentially in the backline to win this game. In comes likely a Moonblast into us right now, but the best thing about this is I'm not in range after this Moonblast where a single Aqua Tail will knock us out. I catch the charge move here on our Guzzlord, which is fantastic to see. Aqua Tail likely going to be thrown into us, a very inefficient use of energy, and in the backline going to be a Shadow Annihilate. Our Guzzlord, while it's not in a great matchup here, if I land a Crunch against this Pokemon, I might be able to knock them out, and I might be able to Dragon Tail down the rest of that Drapion. Ice Punch does get thrown. Interesting play. I kind of thought they would go for the other move there, for the Rage Fist, to try to ramp up their attack, but because they went for Ice Punch, they're going to no-shield and invest everything right now into Shadow Drapion. Not quite able to register that final Dragon Tail. If I could, I think I could Poison Sting down, but at this point, it's going to be a race to our Charge Moves here at the end of the game. I'm outside of range where one Aqua Tail can knock us out, but Drapion is so much more spammy than Clodsire. We are just barely a couple Poison Stings here past our Stone Edge right now, which means I don't think we can win this matchup. It's going to be so close. I think, though, I'm 4 Poison Stings away from this move. The Drapion's always going to be 4 Poison Stings away at the very most from an Aqua Tail, and they might even farm us down here. Our Clods are just a little bit too slow in this matchup, not able to win this game. Our opponent making some great calls here in this matchup, but they are also ABA weak to Marowak, to Mudslap, just in general with Carbink and Drapion. That is a crazy team. Next game, I'm going to see Clodsire up against, I guess it's like the only lead matchup we're seeing here, the Shadow Drapion once again, but this time they instantly swap out here to a Golisopod. A pretty neutral matchup for a Guzzlord, but they do have access to super effective damage with this X-Scissor, and Shadow Claw is going to add up quite a bit against us as well. In comes the X-Scissor. It does do a decent chunk of our HP here, and I'm not quite sure how I want to play this matchup out. I could let my Guzzlord go. I could shield it up if I feel like it's more useful in the backline, but because they're already a little bit weak to Guzzlord, I'm not sure it's going to have too much play later on this game. I'm going to let it go and farm down with our Clodsire. It depends on what's in the back to see if this is a mistake or not, but I feel like Energy on Clodsire always goes somewhere, right? Earthquake and Stone Edge are both very efficient moves, and we're going to see the final Pokemon is a Jellicent Pokemon, which is a little bit tricky. I wish I would have had our Sableye into this. Honestly, our Guzzlord was triple strong into this team, so it might be a mistake to have let it go down so easily. In comes our Sableye. Now, Shadow Claw damage is going to add up quite a bit against him. They throw a Charge Move. It could be a Shadow Ball. I don't want to get one shot quite yet, but just landing these Shadow Claws here into this Jellicent have put them into a range where the next Earthquake could knock them out. And while this is going to be very tricky in game here with a lot of Water-type pressure into my Clodsire, I do know that Sableye into Drapion is not the worst-case scenario. I go for a Foul Play bait. We do draw a shield. Fantastic stuff here. And now I think I can survive a Crunch, go for a Power Gem against them, and maybe at the end of this game win with our Clodsire. Crunch ends up landing. It does a massive amount of damage. Gets a defense drop as well, which doesn't necessarily matter because I'm going to swap out anyway at this point. Power Gem will either knock out or draw the final shield here from this Pokemon. They do shield up that attack here, and now I need 2 Earthquakes to win this game. I think that Aqua Tail is going to actually end up doing less damage here than the Surf would do, so I'm going to no-shield this attack. Yeah, I'm not even in range where I get Fast Move Farm down after this next charge attack here from this Drapion. I'm very close at this point to my next Earthquake. That Jellicent is easily in range where an Earthquake will knock them out and make it so I can farm down if they are not quite in one-shot range, and then have energy for that Drapion. They don't quite get knocked out, but one Poison Sting is all it takes. I can outpace the Drapion, and I can win that game there with a very tricky endgame matchup. Next game, you're going to see a Morpheco in the lead, a Pokemon that yesterday was giving us quite a bit of trouble, but I have a Clodsire, I have a Guzzlord as well, and Shadow Sableye, while it's not a great matchup, if you are up energy, it's not the worst case scenario here, so we'll see what our opponent has in the back. They're going Psychic Fangs. Obviously, while Morpheco is a Pokemon that you want to see as a ground type, this is probably the least ground type in the game, right? We've seen Drapion kind of take advantage of that. We're seeing Morpheco as well, not taking too much faster pressure, and since we're so slow to these charge moves, they're going to reach another one against us, likely going to be a Psychic Fangs, and because of that, we're going to no-shield. I don't think they're going to go for a Dark-type Aura Wheel, and yeah, they do just throw that attack. We survive it pretty easily, and we're going to try to reach another attack here. But also, Morpheco is so spammy. They're already at another charge move here. Psychic Fangs would knock us out after 2 debuffs already, so I'm going to go for a shield here, overfarm just a little bit, and go for Stone Edge to draw their final shield or knock them out. If they do end up double shielding here, it's going to be a very interesting play by them. We'll see what ends up happening in this game. Stone Edge ends up coming through and getting their final shield. I'm going to go for a Psychic Fangs catch on our Guzzlord, and because they've been going straight Psychic Fangs this whole game, they're not even at +1 attack or anything right now. This is going to do nothing to our Dark-type Pokemon. Morpheco is going to swap out instantly into a Talonflame of all things, a Pokemon that by no means wants to be met by a Guzzlord. I'm surprised they brought this in. They had a choice, and this is the Pokemon they used. I think yesterday we saw a team with a Superior in the backline. Crunch does a massive amount of damage. In fact, enough to put them into a Dragon Tail downrange. Guzzlord is unwinding this team. I have no idea what their team was, but we were able to win the game thanks to Guzzlord and Clodsire putting in so much work. Next matchup, a Clodsire matchup into a Corviknight matchup against a ground type into the Flyer, the Poison into the Steel. You'd expect Clodsire to be in such a bad spot here, but Corviknight is not a great Pokemon. In my opinion, it's one of the least, I was going to say least underwhelming, no, most underwhelming Pokemon just in the entire meta right now, right? Because it's a typing that on paper is so strong. Sand Attack is great coverage for a Pokemon like this to have, but because it is just so underwhelming in these neutral scenarios, or scenarios like this should be good for it, right? You resist my Poison type fast move pressure, you're doing super effective damage to us with fast moves, and it's just so bad for them. With that said, they are on payback, so I'm going to catch the move here on Guzzlord, but you can see Clodsire is still very healthy. I have a lot of energy. Payback is going to do almost nothing to us here, and we're still in a very good spot using our Guzzlord as a safe swap into a Cradilly. I go for the CMP tie here. I know that I want to get a Dragon Claw off before a debuff. This will do a decent chunk of damage, and because we're able to whittle down this Cradilly with our Dragon-type Pokemon, our Clodsire, as well as our Shadow Sableye in the backline, should be able to either farm down or neutralize this pick later on. We do get debuffed here, and I feel like my opponent is going to call that I am going to CMP the next move, so instead I'm going to overfarm, go for the crunch, and we get the CMP on 5. They could have sniped us down there before we got this move off, but because we overfarmed and got this crunch through, we do so much more damage into this Pokemon, and now they're locked into this attack. They're going to have to throw in all the energy here if they want to knock us out, and I can farm this down with either my Clodsire or my Sableye. I feel like in general, energy lead on Sableye is so much more helpful, and the final Pokemon is revealed as a Morpheco. So once again, a team pretty soft to Guzzlord here. I need to stop letting my Guzzlord go so quickly, but I think Shadow Sableye is still in a very good spot. They actually no-shield that foul play, and while that is in theory a good play, you have to keep in mind, I think now I can just farm this Pokemon all the way down, right? Shadow Claw, while it is resisted, is from a Shadow Sableye into a Morpheco. You can see my fast moves are still doing more damage than theirs are to me, despite they're at +1 and doing neutral faster pressure into us. Sableye is just such a strong pick right now. Aura Wheel does get shielded once again, so they're not going to get to a second charge with this game, and that Corviknight in the backline has almost no energy after that payback catch that we had earlier on. In comes the first foul play. We were at a second one in just a second here. We can draw their final shield, and now because our Sableye has done its job, I can come into their Clodsire, go for a Stone Edge, and potentially win this game with faster pressure up against that Morpheco later on. Stone Edge does come through, but not before an attack is reached from this Corviknight. I think that we're still going to be fine, though. Even a payback, we should survive. Iron Head definitely not going to knock us out here. In comes the Stone Edge. It will knock them out, and now Morpheco doesn't want to take anything with my Clodsire's fast pressure or with my Shadow Sableye, able to farm them down and take the win in that match. Next game is going to be Clodsire as our lead up against a Lapras. Not a great lead to see here, but I know that Shadow Sableye is a great safe swap a lot of the time. Our opponent does have a Guzzlord, though, as a safe swap, or a counter swap, rather, which is going to be just a little bit more tricky for us to take out because we're not running Dazzling Gleam. In comes a charge move, though, but that was pretty quick, so I'm going to call this attack. Yeah, it's just a Brutal Swing. We can survive that pretty easily, go for a Power Gem of our own, and potentially start getting shields, or maybe just whittling down this Guzzlord as much as we can. In comes a Power Gem. It does end up landing here. We're not quite able to reach that final move, which is fine, but it's going to be a little bit harder to farm this down now. In comes a charge attack from the Guzzlord, likely going to be that Brutal Swing. Since they're on Brutal Swing, I know their charge moves aren't going to do quite as much as if they were on Crunch, and we're able to survive this just a little bit better. With that said, our Poison Sting's not doing too much damage to them here. I'm going to go for a catch as well as a Dragon Tail Sneak to snipe them down. We know there's a Lapras that was in the lead. There is no Pokemon in the backline that we've seen just yet, but we're going to see that it's going to be a Shadow Sableye Pokemon that is a little bit of a good matchup, I guess, for Guzzlord, right? We saw this on the other side a second ago. If they are on Dazzling Gleam here, I do need to shield it up. Honestly, a Power Gem at this range would also do quite a bit of damage. They go for a Foul Play Bait, so none of the above. There was that Lapras that was in the lead right, though, so I think our Guzzlord plus our Clodsire with so much energy is still going to have quite a bit of play. We draw a shield with that Dragon Claw. We're going to get a second shield or a knockout against them with this second move. And I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot right now because either we're going to get a shield advantage or potentially just start setting up a lot of energy for our Guzzlord. I'm going to shield up this attack. I know I have the energy on our Clodsire to reach 2 Stone Edges potentially against the Lapras later on. They do swap out here. I reach the first Stone Edge, and they have to throw energy against us if they want to knock us out before I can get the second Stone Edge through. In comes the Stone Edge. It does over half of their HP, and if they do knock us out here, our Guzzlord should be able to close out this endgame. If this is a Sparkling Aria, I might survive. An Ice Beam definitely knocks us out, though, from this range. It is the Ice Beam. Down goes our Clodsire. Guzzlord comes back in and is trying once again to get this endgame sweep. Dragon Claw coming through. Our opponent at this point is in range where this will knock out. Sableye has no energy left over. I can Dragon Tail all the way down and take the win in this game. Once again, Guzzlord putting in just so much work in that match. Yeah, this Clodsire team, it's kind of similar to a team that I used yesterday, right? Where I was using Lapras as their lead with the same exact backline of Guzzlord and Shadow Sableye. But I'm pretty sure this is just a much more consistent team here, right? You have the anti-fairy type in the lead, a lot more bulk, a lot more just coverage here with Earthquake and Stone Edge. And because we have flexibility with our Shadow Sableye and our Guzzlord in the backline, we are able to reach 29.72, one good set away from Legend. Hopefully this time I'm not going to mess it up. We got to 29.99 earlier in the season. I don't want to let that happen again. I want to just be done with our Legend push here. So maybe in the next day or two, we will get it, and we will be over with a Legend push in this season. All right, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the battles and you want to see more content like this in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.